At this point, the server discovery task is completed. In the job summary, you can see the log showing how long they took, and the two servers have been added to the unassigned servers navigation within Oracle VM Manager. Oracle VM Manager knows about these two servers, but they're not part of a server pool. There is no server pool yet. I haven't defined one yet. There are a few steps we have to do before that. The first thing I'll do is I'll just go click on one of these, and you can see information about the specific server that was derived as part of the discovery process. The next thing I need to do is define the additional networks needed to make the infrastructure for the server pool I'll be constructing. Simply as a byproduct of discovering the servers, I do have one network definition. This is the network that we use for the discovery process. You can see that it has the roles for management, live migration, and cluster heartbeat, and it's been identified with the subnet that it was discovered on. And we also can see in the user interface which ports it's on, net 0 on both of those two Spark servers. Next thing I need to do, though, is create additional networks, because in my lab I separate networks for virtual machine access and for storage. So the first one I'll do is I'll build the storage network. So I click on the plus, create a network with ports, bonds, or VLANs. Yep, that's what I want to do. I will call it storage, because it seems to be as reasonable name as any. Give it the role, or the channel if you prefer. Go to the next screen, select the ports. I'm not actually going to select ports because I know this is on a VLAN, so I'm going to go to the next tab. Click on plus. Well, it's going to be from servers that are in the unassigned server navigation, so let's go find them. It's going to be this guy. Click there, and it's going to be this guy also. So now I've defined the network devices, the VLANs that are used for the storage access for the storage network, which will be used for the virtual machines contacting the repository that I'll define later. And I just go off and I click on finish, and that will go off and it'll create that network. Let's do the same thing for the virtual machine network. And yes, same thing. It's going to be based on a VLAN. I'm going to call it VM because that's what its job is going to be. And I could use other roles. I could do that here, but I'm trying to keep these purposes isolated. A good practice would be to document these. Again, it's not on a particular port. That is, it's not on a NIC. It's on a LAN, a VLAN, which is based on one. So go to the next step of the navigation. Find the VLAN interfaces that I want. And it's going to be this one. I'll click there. And this one. That's because I happen to know the network topology of my lab, and I know which interfaces have actually been wired to my server. So those are the networks I'm going to be using for the VM function. Don't have to worry about the fact that I haven't plumbed all these IP addresses. The fact is that the control domain does not have to have an IP address for a network it is not using. In this particular case, I'm only going to use this network for virtual machine traffic, so it's really kind of optional that the control domain actually has an IP address on it. For illustration purposes, I figure show and without, just to show that it's okay either way. Then I'm done, and I now have a network. So I have the original network, which we use for management purposes, live migration, cluster heartbeat. I have a network that I'll use for storage access to my storage server, and I have a network that I'll use for traffic done by the virtual machines themselves.